If your ad costs have doubled, even tripled over the last few months, this video is going to show you exactly why that's happened and how to fix it. So Meta has just rolled out their Andromeda update, and it's been an update that they've been working on for quite some time, and they've been very transparent about it, but it did catch a lot of people by surprise. So in July of this year, they started rolling it out, and it's officially live on everybody's ad account. And with this new update, the old playbook is completely dead, where you would just run one ad or maybe two ads and then let that winner ride for the rest of the time. That playbook is dead in the water and it's not to return. And so my name is Jeff. All we do on this channel, if you're new here, is talk about how to take brick and mortar and telehealth clinics to $200,000 a month. And we share the lessons and best practices that we've learned and accumulated in working with businesses that have reached and exceeded those collections levels on a monthly basis. And so we don't make any income claims. I don't believe you're going to watch any one of these singular videos and get yourself to 200 grand a month. If you're already there and you're tuning in, great. Let's hopefully we can add another couple hundred grand a month on top of that. But if you're just getting started, or maybe you're at even like $1 million a year, making the jump is significant, okay? It's going to require a lot of lessons, a lot of character building, and I don't believe that you're going to make that jump with just one singular video. So by no means do we make income claims around here. And so what we're going to do today is break down Andromeda in its full and talk about what's working right now and then what ultimately you need to start doing in your own business to see an enhanced level of results when it comes to your advertising. And so if you're a returning subscriber, we appreciate you coming back, and this is going to be another banger for you. Let's first begin with the algorithmic changes that this update has created. So first and foremost, Andromeda's update started in December. Okay, they started talking about it in December and it would be officially rolled out by July. So again, they've been talking about it for some time. But here's what it means for you. Most of the targeting, if not 99% of the targeting that you're doing with your advertising is now coming specifically from the messaging within your ads. Because what's happening is that Andromeda is Meta's ad retrieval system. An ad retrieval system is basically like they have all these ads to choose from that advertisers run, and then when a user goes on their feed, Meta is going to retrieve one of those ads and bring it to the feed. And Meta claims that this is now 10,000 times stronger than it was ever before. And what that means in simple terms is that Meta can now process 10,000 times more ad creative. So for us advertisers, for those of you that are advertising in your practice, you must be aware that it's going to challenge you with the amount of creative volume that is going to be required. And we're going to elaborate on that later in the video. But here's what we're finding, which is good news. So the downside is that it requires more work. The upside is that we're actually finding that if you do the work properly, our clients are getting some of the best results they've seen on the platform in a very long period of time. So this is an algorithmic change that you need to actually lean into. Otherwise, you might just take a beating if you lean away from it. And so let's talk about what this looks like visually for you running ads. So here's what it used to look like. It used to be that if you had a campaign up here, and then you were running ad 1 and then ad 2, just two simple ads, okay? Then you may find that one of these would be a particular winner. So let's say ad 1 became a winner. And then you would just scale up the winner, okay? Now, in contrast to what's going on right now, is that you can no longer run just two creatives. You have to run a diverse set of creatives. So the campaign structure is notably more complex than it's ever been. So what's happening now is you might have a campaign, and then now, instead of running one ad, even for a lower budget to be clear of, maybe like $4,000 to $5,000 a month on ads, you have to still be running, upwards of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have some clients even internally in our business that we might run as many as 15 different creatives, all with diverse messaging, different hooks, different B-roll. In fact, back in the day, we used to be able to just record one hook and then, record one body of the ad and then completely change up the hook. So it was the same ad with different hooks on top of it. We're finding that's no longer a best practice, and that you have to have actually different ads itself with a diverse set of reasons on why any sort of patient or client would ever consider taking on your service. And so the data from Meta supports that the advertisers that have adapted to that new style of that campaign kind of distribution and, the campaign diversification, they're finding that they're actually getting 8% better results than they were before they adapted to that change. So here's some data from Meta talking about the advertisers that have made the change to the Andromeda sequencing. They have seen notably better results, such as 8% improvement in ad quality, which ultimately gives your ad account a better shot at reaching the right person. 9% lower cost per action. That means if your average lead cost was $100, you've dropped it down consistently to about $91 or so, just for easy math. And we're also seeing an 11% higher click-through rate, which means that we're actually getting lower CPMs. It's cheaper to serve the ad, and that if the ad is relevant by using a wide range of hooks, we're seeing higher percent of people clicking through to the ad to then go to the next page. So all those combined, to be clear, end up creating a massive lower cost per result, and typically we're even seeing a little bit higher caliber of person as long as the messaging is correct. And so the big takeaway for you right now in watching this is that your creative volume must increase dramatically. Okay, that's what we saw here. This is just creative volume. Okay, that doesn't mean we need to run different campaigns. In fact, even not a good best practice is to run all these campaigns with like 3 or 4 ads in them. We want to load up campaigns with different creatives. And so your mission is to think about what are the set of reasons that people enroll inside of your office or your telehealth clinic, right? Why are people taking action? It requires you in this update right here to actually become a better marketer. You can't just like spray out and kind of shotgun everything anymore and hope that something hits, and then when it does, you scale it. Like, if you don't have the right messaging right now and a high amount of ad volume, you are literally going to be vaporizing money. And to elaborate deeper on that, this diverse set of messages, this is now controlling the targeting. Okay, that's the biggest takeaway that you need to have from the Andromeda update, is that creative now controls the targeting, even for local businesses, okay? So let me give you an example. Maybe you're getting low quality leads. Well, you have to look to see who you're calling out. Are you just calling out everybody? Or are you calling out a subgroup of people that may be probable to have more money to invest in your service? Because the platform of Meta is much smarter than you think it is. And if you actually believe it to be this incredibly smart AI-driven platform, which it is, then you can ultimately give it what it needs to go out and find a better lead that's much more qualified for your particular set of services. So with that, what are some action items that you can begin to take? Number one, you need highly scripted content, okay? This can be non-selfish, non-biased content that is totally focused on the ideal client profile and their inner thinking, okay? Great marketers are good at getting in the heads of their buyer. They don't self-promote. That's not marketing. They get in the head of their buyer and then they communicate to that buyer in a way that the buyer is already thinking, which then magnetizes them towards them, okay? So people only opt into things for selfish reasons. They don't opt in for your credentials. They don't opt in, they're selfishly want an outcome from you, right? So we got to get into their head first. Next thing is every message needs to be diverse, okay? So you can't run the same script 15 times wearing a different shirt, okay? That's not going to work anymore. That used to work, okay? You can say the same script over and over wearing different clothes in a different space and it would work all day. That has completely also vanished, and that's not coming back either, because the platform is just getting better and better about serving ads to the right individual, which then ultimately makes the experience of the user on the platform even better because the ads are hyper relevant to them and their situation. So what does this mean for you if you're actually trying to reach significant revenues of upwards of $200,000 a month? It means that you need to take your creative much more seriously. Someone's like, oh, I don't like being on camera. Gonna get burned. You're gonna get burned by the guy or gal down the road who dominates with their content, okay? And I'm not talking about organic, sure. I'm talking about ads at scale, okay? Because that is the main requirement. And if you want to get to 200 grand a month, you're probably gonna be spending somewhere in the neighborhood of at least 20 to 40 grand a month on ads to be able to hit those numbers, okay? And when you're spending that, you're going to have probably about 15 to 60 different creatives on a monthly basis, depending on how saturated your market is, and depending also on the size of your current warm audience. But here's the thing, most agencies cannot keep up with this, okay? If you're watching this and you run like maybe a clinic that's maybe sub $50,000 a month, okay, and you got an agency and they're like, yeah, they do all my work for $600 a month. It's like, yeah, dude, like they're shortcutting your price. They're for sure shortcutting the service. So the agency just needs to also, if you're partnered with somebody, they have to have the systems in place to help you with the creative. Yes, some of it can be you on camera, but what are they using as far as different actors? What are they using as far as different AI tools, right? So like most agencies are in fact going to get squeezed out during this period of time, quite simply because they don't have the infrastructure to be able to execute on something like this, especially when the client wants to get to revenues again as high as $200,000 a month. You have to have massively substantial amount of creative. The higher the ad spend, the more the creative volume has to be. So here's a reality if you're watching this. Number one, you can't hit 200 grand a month with inconsistent patient flow. Okay, no business has ever grown to big numbers by having a weak marketing system. Okay, secondly, it's impossible to have a great marketing system, especially in social media ads right now, without following the Andromeda best practices of creative volume, creative diversification, overcoming ad fatigue protocols, highly scripted ads, okay? All of these are now the standard. Not to get elite. Like if you want to have success at all online, you need to follow these best practices. And so the new reality, sadly guys, and I don't mean to say this like very like intentional, but it's either you adapt or you get left behind. There is no more playing in the middle, okay? Which actually makes it a lot more fun for me personally because I obviously take advertising very seriously and I'm willing to do whatever it takes to get there and to align with a lot of our clients. But for those of you that have played the passive approach, you're gonna have to step more in the game to be able to take this to the next level. Now, as we wrap up, again, the biggest thing that you can do watching this is go and take action, okay? Always and always insult for me if you watch this and you get all hyped and your heart rate gets going, but then you fail to take action, okay? Ideas are shit. Execution is the game. And if you want help strategizing to see if we can possibly help take your ads to the next level using some of these principles, I'll leave a link in the notes below for you to book a call with our team, okay? I can't say that we'll be a home run to help you right away, but what we will be able to do is an assessment to see where your ads are at, what are your current strategies, what best practices are you following or maybe not following, so that ultimately you have clarity when it comes to your advertising strategy, okay? So again, we want to get you up to 200 grand a month. That is the goal for every client that we work with. If you're doing less than maybe like $30,000 a month, we've got different options in terms of how we can support you along your journey to getting to those revenues. And if you're already at $100,000 or more, we can certainly come in and put a lot of gas on your business by following these best practices in terms of the Andromeda update. So as always, I appreciate you being here. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. If you found this valuable, send it to somebody else who may find value in it. This is a very important update for all healthcare providers, whether you're brick and mortar or telehealth. This has completely changed the game, and if you don't adapt, you run the risk of your competitors really taking over when it comes to your particular service. So, appreciate you being here. I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one. Cheers.